Welcome to the Fit Media Network, the channel dedicated to healthy living and fitness. We speak with coaches, doctors, athletes, and more about their routines to help you feel, look, and perform at your best.
What do you feel about sugar? Do you have any thoughts on
Well, there should be
sugar?
zero sugar added to your diet. There should be zero sugars in your diet. But be careful with sugars and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are good for us. Complex carbohydrates are part of your vegetables. Simple carbohydrates, when they take a vegetable, cook it, concentrate it, and crystallize it, they take in sugar cane that might have been okay to eat, but they take this much sugar cane, concentrate the juices, and crystallize it into this much. And well, you put that much in a cup of coffee in a hurry, and it's way overdoing it.
What if you put that much, and that much in a cup of coffee?
my
I live in Miami. We know the Cuban coffee has more sugar
Absolutely.
than the coffee.
I've literally, when I was a kid, sugar spiked up in price, $4 or $5 a pound, I think it was. And it came down. It was a commodity, but it was a shortage, right, when the gasoline shortages happened. And I said, I don't want to be addicted to something that's not good for me. And my dad was 3 spoonfuls of sugar. And I was 3 spoonfuls of sugar in a cup of coffee. I'm, a teenager, and I don't want to get addicted to this stuff and starting into college or whatever. I said, let's go to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, and then I take a sip before I put any sugar in it. And it's bitter, but I get to 1.5. And I take a few sips before it, and then, all right, I got to add some into it. Well, now I can go to no sugar, and I don't do any sugar at all. And I often use almond milk or soy milk instead of regular milks. And there are natural sugars that are occurring within products such as fructose, and you don't have to get the sucrose and the concentrated crystalline sugars to have sweetness. Sweetness is a natural desire for humans because if you had a green banana and a yellow banana, you're going to choose the yellow one anytime. Well, the yellow one has more of those natural fructoses that have converted into sugars rather than the kind of the cardboardy type of taste that you're going to get there. So you seek that one that's sweeter, it's better for you. But then we've learned to concentrate and put sugar on everything, and we've polluted our senses. A quick little test would be take a bowl of ice cream, which you shouldn't use anyways, and a bowl of fruit, especially melon. My dad used to put sugar on melon. So
I know people do with
too.
the strawberries, yeah.
So I would, take a spoonful of melon and eat it and taste the natural sweetness of a melon, cantaloupe. And now have a spoonful of ice cream. Now go back and have a spoonful of melon, and that melon will taste like cardboard.
Oh, yeah.
So we've polluted our senses, and we think that that's normal. Having a lot of sugar is normal. Well, we've gotten so used to it, you can't just go without, but work it, reduce it.
Well, it becomes addictive as well. And so you have a craving for it. I noticed I'm a recovering sugarholic.
Right.
And I was always a big sugar eater, sweets, snacks, candies, whatever. When I met my wife, she's really fit and she eats very well, much better than I was when I met her. And I was finding that I had less and less desire to eat sweet when I got together with her. And when you go a week and a half without eating sugar or something sweet, you stop craving it, you stop wanting it. And that's also been really helpful is, you can really get through it mentally a little bit better knowing that just a couple more days and you'll be able to not eat it.
What do we reward our kids with? A trip to McDonald's, you want an ice cream soda, you want this. Hey, ice cream, you did a good job on your homework. We got to be careful about that. We got to go for something that's healthy and wholesome and good, and be careful about the sugary rewards because we're associating goodness, rewards, and sugar, and it's really not all that good for us. I mean, it's one of many nutrients that is just like we've concentrated all the natural nutrients of a fruit or vegetable, and we just got the crystalline type of concentrates that are not so good for us.
That's an interesting idea, though, as far as rewards. Maybe instead of good job on your report card, do this, maybe do something
even
together.
The schools,
or whatever.
they give them a gift certificate to,
My son got his braces off. Just recently, maybe a month ago, he got his braces off. and the orthodontist gave him a whole bag of candy.
Oh,
You know, what you get your braces
they are
off, and
into
they give
promoting
you,
their own business, aren't they?
yeah, Tootsie Rolls, whatever
Yeah.
you couldn't eat, and that kind of made sense, right? If you can't eat that while you have braces,
Yeah.
maybe it's a bit tongue in cheek.
Well,
but
you know, Halloween, my kid loves to go out and collect candy, and now it's my grandson, and he loves to go out and collect candy. So literally, I do the Jimmy Fallon thing, I think it is, where they take the candy away. It was one of those comedians, Jimmy Kimmel, I think.
my
Which
sister
one does that? They take all the candy away
One of
from the
them
kid and
does
said,
it,
"Oh,
yeah.
your candy disappeared." I'm like, "Oh no!"
My sister has 3 boys.
I tell them, choose your 4 or 5 favorite things, and the rest of them, let's just donate them to
Get rid of them.
kids we
somewhere.
don't like. I don't know. And I was like, get rid. Literally,
Well, it's
I
bad,
dump them in the
yeah.
garbage.
My sister has 3 boys, all right about 2 years apart.
Mhm.
And they go out trick-or-treating. They get the experience of doing the trick-or-treating and all of that. And then they come back, they eat a little bit of candy that day, and then she gives it to the neighbors and just kind of shuffles it off to the neighbors. The neighbors are very grateful because they want that, but she doesn't want her kids to
A
be
real quick
consuming
thing
that much
is,
too.
you know, start this with kids, and they will start doing it themselves. But look at a label. Look at how many calories are in there, and understand: is it calories per the whole bottle of it, or is it calories per serving?
Sure.
And then multiply out. Nobody eats 4 servings in this one bottle. They drink the whole bottle. So you
thing.
got to 4 times that number of calories. Look at the calories. Look at the salt. Sodium intake is way overdone. In the
And that
United
increases
States.
inflammation as well, majorly.
Absolutely. You know, sodium is such a critical and important nutrient to our body. Our body craves and tries to hold it inside. So now all of a sudden we throw on additional salt to make the foods bang, you know, and have a little bit more punch and flavor. We're getting more and more salt. So there's all kinds of issues with that I think people are beginning to realize. I thought 20 years ago, 10 years ago, they would find that salt was really, really highly overrated as far as worrying about salt consumption. But you know what? It's one of the things in health that hasn't changed, that's actually been more
consistent.
and more important. And guess what? It's even more important to minimize the salt intakes, because you're getting it as a natural element of many of your foods. Okay, sodium is a natural element. But now all of a sudden we're getting added.
Sure. Well, you also have a cultural thing with salt too.
Mhm.
So, for example, my wife is Cuban, and in the Cuban culture, correct me if I'm wrong, any of my Cuban friends, but they say, you know, if you don't put enough salt on somebody's food, that means you don't love them.
Oh
And
my gosh! Look at
in
that.
fact, you know, I remember one of the first Christmases I was with her. I got her a giant bag of Himalayan salt for Christmas,
Yeah.
and so we definitely need to get through some of the cultural stuff too. That says, you know, if you don't put enough salt, that means that you don't care. If you don't do this,
There is
you know?
immeasurable, significant geographical differences in health. And I think that's one of the things that I've always looked at is demographic differences. And you find that in 2 or 3 areas of the world, people live longer. You know, is it their genetics? Is it their lifestyle? And typically we're finding that they're more of the high altitude people. They're eating much more naturally. They're eating from, you know, smaller cities where they're not big urbanized things. And, you know, salt is, most of them actually were very far inland, so salt is not naturally occurring. You know, they almost have to worry about a lack of salt and goiters and things like that from iodine. But, you know, they're doing, you know, really well. So we ought to look at some of these societies. What are they doing to live longer? You know,
and kind of gauge what you're doing based off of what these other cultures are doing. We can always learn.
Nobody's ever rated Cuban ancestry as one of those ones of great longevity. You know,
Usually
so
you see
apparently
the
many of
Far
their
East.
habits have not been that good. So we have to think about that one. Yes, the Japanese seem to have a very high longevity. Scandinavians seem to have a very longevity. And we ought to be looking at what they do more so, and then also look at people in subsets of cultures in the United States.
And what they
Are
do.
the vegetarians living longer? Are the vegans living longer? Are the raw foods people living longer? Are the people that are avoiding gluten living longer? And we're starting to see a measurable difference. And, you know, it was just a theory when I became a vegetarian 35, 40 years ago that it was a healthier lifestyle, but it was seemingly very plausible theory. And now I think it's well proven that vegetarians and vegans, they have much less heart disease, which is the #1 killer in America.